Exactly.
And that's a shot that means a lot for the character in the movie, and his decisions being made for him. And then it takes all of his buddies coming back and being like, "Hey, this isn't the life you want to live, dude. You're a toy."
Right.
And then Buzz is like, right, and then Buzz is like, "I'll come with us." So they end up not only getting Woody back, but they bring back Jesse, Bullseye. I don't think they bring back Stinky Pete. I think Pete ends up.
He ends up.
Doesn't he fall off the plane? Yeah, that's what it is. He ends up on a little girl's backpack, and
he'd never been played with.
What's funny about that though is that it looks like at first he's miserable, but then I think it shows a scene where he's strapped to the backpack and he's got makeup on and stuff, and he's like, okay,
Well, yeah, he just became a little girl's plaything. Yeah, she calls him the ugly man.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Which again, it's really fun how Pixar deposes their bad guys, right? If you remember, Sid, it was of course the toys scare him, so that takes care of their bad guy, and then Buzz, he was kind of an opponent, but he wasn't a bad guy, so he could have a change of heart.
Right, he was kind of an opposition. Also, we get an introduction of a Buzz Lightyear lore villain. We get this is the first time that we hear about Zurg.
Emperor Zurg, yeah, exactly. And
also what a cool villain design, man. I think as kids villains go, Zurg is one of the coolest ones.
Yeah, they took all the fun things about Darth Vader and then brought it up to this 80s style, right? And then he's all purple and black and red. A real fun.
And when he talks, his mouth lights up or something, which is very toy-like and funny because he's such this spooky-looking character, but at the same time you can't take him seriously because his mouth is just
exactly. He's playing him because he's made to sell toys, 100%. There's also a couple really I think they're subtle because I've never noticed them except for when I was specifically going back and watching them in this last week. But there's several different renditions of "You've Got a Friend in Me." I think one of them is does he start speaking Spanish in 2 or is it 3? He's 3. He's speaking Spanish.
It's 3. Yeah, in 3.
I'm sorry to spoil that.
But no, they do it in a really funny way too.
Yeah, but they do a rendition of "You Got a Friend in Me" in Spanish as a mariachi band. In that one, that's the one specifically I was thinking of, but that's not in this movie. But there's some other ones. There's some slow renditions, and then there was one that's I can't remember. It's jazzy, or if it's
they have a big band one at the end because they get Wheezy fixed.
Oh yeah,
and that's right. Really funny because
Wheezy, for him to be
right.
Yeah,
Wheezy goes from having this really high pitched squeaky voice, and he's like, I don't know, guys. And then he just whips out the craziest jazz baritone voice you've ever heard in your life.
Exactly. It's so funny, dude. Yeah. You also have to say that they always try to seek resolution for all their characters, and they go crazy in 4 also. That's why I think it's the crowning achievement, not a black eye on the Toy Story series. I didn't get to that.
Do you have any? We don't agree with you there.
Do you have any final thoughts on 2 before we go into 3? Because I think 3 has a lot of them. Very short.
I'll be honest with you. After Toy Story 2, I didn't think there was going to be another movie. It felt it ended beautifully, and it was a very nice, happy ever after kids movie ending. And I, for one, wasn't expecting a 3rd movie. And so when that got announced,
right.
And they announced it because the first 2 movies are made like I said 5 or so years apart. They waited another 10 years to make it Toy Story 3. But then they also changed it thematically. It was almost like they wanted kids to grow up literally with the character in the movie, because in the 3rd one we see Andy is grown up. He's in his 20s. He's going to college.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a whole big setup for that one. So you don't have any final thoughts on 2 before we move on to 3?
No,